and go to Facebook. And I guess whenever Dmytro joins us, he will join us. So for everybody that's joining us online, welcome to the UCC's special fundraising in times of crisis webinar. We have a number of special guests from across Canada who I'll introduce shortly. And I'm just going to our Facebook stream. So just give me 40 seconds to figure this out. And I need another pair of hands, fundraising in times of crisis. And we will get underway shortly. Okay, we're going live. So can you shut your screen share off just for a minute while we introduce everybody?
Sure.
Excellent. Okay. So again, we are live on Facebook. We're recording. We're all out here. So my name is Ihor Michalchyshyn. I'm in Ottawa with UCC National. I'm going to introduce our guests. Actually, I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. So to my, I don't know what everybody's seeing. To my left is Janine Kuzma or Asya. Do you want to introduce yourself briefly, Asya?
Sure. So I am the UCC Fund Development Manager, and I have a degree, postgraduate degree in fundraising manager, and I have been working for UCC for the past 3 years.
Okay, and to my, this is below me on my screen is Victoria Grando. Victoria, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Victoria Grando. I work as office manager at the Ukrainian Cultural Society of Vancouver Island in the beautiful Victoria, BC. I've been working in the office for 16 years now. Had many different experiences, but this year's experience is absolutely different.
Yes, it is very, very unique circumstances. Okay, and then I think we have Dmytro joining us, but Terry Zwarych is here from Regina. He's the president of the UCC Regina branch. And Terry, can we have you introduce yourself?
Well, you said everything. My name is Terry Zwarych, and I'm the president of UCC Regina branch.
And Terry was a great supporter and helped make this 2016 Triennial Congress happen. We were there with you in Regina. I had a great time. And joining us is Dmytro Dutka from Toronto. Had some technical issues, but we're on board now. And Dmytro, do you want to introduce yourself in terms of the project you're going to be talking about?
Yeah, my name's Dmytro. I'm a platoon, and I've been volunteering with Help Us a Lot as well over the past couple of years. And we're doing like a bike move-a-thon fundraiser kind of thing. So I'll explain more when I get to that point, I guess.
Excellent. Thank you, Dmytro. Last minute agreed today to help us out with some innovative, inspiring ideas. So we've all introduced ourselves. Asya, if you can share your slides. The program is going to be basically a mix between, we sort of have a presentation that we're going to intersperse with hearing from Dmytro, Victoria, and Terry about some real world successful examples of fundraising that I hope will inspire you and give you some ideas about how you might be able to apply these to your organization, or right now or in the future. So we're going to start off, Asya, with just a couple of slides.
Oops. Yes, so let's start with the big question. Oops. I just have to move just a minute. Okay, so should we fundraise during crisis? And my answer was and is definitely yes. In time of crisis, it is key that your nonprofit continues to ask for financial donations to support your mission. You have to think of your nonprofit as you are running a business. So if you don't make money, you have no money to continue your mission. A recent analysis performed by Donor Trends found that nonprofits can survive times of uncertainty and even prosper if they continue to ask for donations. And actually, this is a trend. And in previous crises, it was also a trend that people were willing to support charities in response to the crisis. I just read this book and I want to share with you because I think all fundraisers and also board members should read this book. It's a great read. It's called Great by Choice. And the book actually talks about businesses, why some of them thrive during chaos, during uncertainty, and why some of them they disappear. And basically, the book is stating that fear should guide you. You should not hide during crisis. You should use your past experience and continue your work. So if you have the time, please go through the book, just even read few chapters. It will really help you to understand how to react during crisis. Before we're gonna go to fundraising and what it is and how we should ask for money during crisis, let's just make something clear. We have to understand what fundraising and giving really is. A lot of people think that fundraising is all about money, and it's actually not. It's about building relationship with the donor who shares your mission. It's about the hearts and minds and values of the donor and your organization's capability to match their interests. Fundraising is about giving opportunity and helping donors to follow their own interests, express their values, and advance their own aspirations through your organization. Your organization and your mission is a means to donors' end. And I think if you understand this, asking for money, fundraising will be much easier for you, not only during crisis, but also when there are no crises. And I'm gonna ask Dmytro to talk a little bit of his move-a-thon that recently happened.
Did we lose him?
I think so.
We might have lost Dmytro. Okay, well, why don't we wait? Actually, why don't we keep going and we can
go back.
I'm just going to message him to see if he can call back. He was having some computer issues, and once he pops in, we can go back to the slide.
Okay, so let's continue. So what do we know so far during this specific crisis? We know that 80% of donors are concerned about their favorite nonprofit's ability to operate. And this is a good news. It does not mean that those 80% of donors will give you the money, but eventually, hopefully, once they are calm, they will continue to donate to you. We also know that 1/4 say that they will give to different organizations as a result of crisis. And that's understandable. When there are crises, people tend to give to the specific crisis to stop them from spreading or continuing. And we also know that the previous studies have indicated that organizations that continue to fundraise and engage with donors following events like, let's say, 2008 recession, emerge stronger than nonprofits that held their programs.
So I see Dmytro is back.
Yep.
Let me just ask him to unmute. Dmytro, can you hear us? Can we hear you? I'm asking you to, I can't.
Dmytro, you are on mute.
Yeah, if you can check your audio, Dmytro, we can't do anything on this end. Hello? Yes. Oh, okay, well, let's go. Technical difficulties. Okay, well, we'll go back to the presentation and we'll try to have them again.
So continuing on, I just want to show you this very interesting graph. What is happening during crisis? The phases that nonprofits are going through, the one who are asking for money and keeping contact with their donors, and the ones that are not, that are doing basically zero. So the thick line, the black line, shows you what is happening when you are communicating with your donor and asking for money. And the dotted line shows you when your communication is zero or almost non-existing and you don't ask for money. In crisis, you're going through three different phases. So there is a phase one that it's called the bump, then phase two that it's called the slump, and phase three that it's called the surge. So at the very few days at the beginning of the crisis or the first week, you will notice that your donations will go down. But as soon as you start communicating with your donors, asking for money, your donations will sharply go up. And in the middle of phase one, they will go up and then slowly will go down again. And the reason for it is people might be losing their jobs. They are still not sure what is going on. So then you go to your phase two, you still going down, but you continue to communicate with your donors. And in the middle of phase two, you start slowly go up until you get to the phase three, which is called the surge. And you will notice the quite a big change in your donations. They would rise. And then phase three will continue sort of the plateau. You will still get the donations, assuming you continue to communicate. And then finally, you go to the new norms and your donations will stay the same.
Okay, Ashu, I think we have Dmytro on the line. He's back. We have to ask him to unmute himself on his end.
Yes, sorry,
Okay, perfect.
the internet's rough.
Not a problem. So, Dmytro, we're happy to have you with us. We wanted to have you at this point talk about an innovative idea that you are participating in as a fundraiser, I guess, as a volunteer. Ashu, if you can go back to the slide, it's called the Help Us Help the Children Move-a-thon. And it's one example of sort of an innovative, active, kind of a new kind of fundraiser. So can you tell us a little bit about what the fundraising is?
Yeah, so this fundraiser was started, it was 5 or 6, like, I guess, bratchki or vycholniki from Ploss that we all just started cycling because we have nothing else to do during this. And we all want to go to Grafton. We're all plus in this. We're like, well, you may as well spend a night in Grafton. Why not? And then after that, I was like, well, we may as well make a fundraiser out of it. And then that grew to us reaching out to Help Us Help. And they essentially came up with this move-a-thon thing. So there was three, like, I guess for me, it makes sense to like donate if a group of people are doing something active, or not necessarily like sporty active, but if they're doing something within a stanica or doing something within a hromada or doing something. People are more inclined to give money if there's like an end goal or something, right?
Right. So
this was our end goal.
Yeah. So Help Us Help, it used to be known as Help Us Help the Children. It's an organization that does a lot of charitable activity in Ukraine. So what are you raising money for?
So they have this, it's a COVID relief fund. Personally, I haven't even looked into it that much because I'm like literally drowning in work at work. They take all the money and it is for packages, I believe, that help, because there's no tabora and there's no like summer camps or winter camps.
We've been partners
there's no way
with
for them
on
to get like small things.
Yeah, we're delivering.
So I think this is for like packages for like hygiene, or it could be whatever that they necessarily need in that certain orphanage. Right. They would help out in those.
Excellent. So how does it work? So how do you?
But there's like group ones.
Oh. Sorry, you're just cutting out.
So there's 3 ways you can either swimming, whatever. I'm cutting out. Okay, sorry. So you can either do it as a team or you can do it by yourself, and there's different ways that you can do it. And this helps if you give different options and different strengths. So like if there's a cycler, you can go cycling. If there's a runner, they can go running. And if there's a swimmer, they can go swimming. So Help Us gave 3 different options for, I don't know, different whatever. Maybe older people aren't going to bike 160 kilometers, or somebody's not going to bike or run a marathon, but somebody might swim 10 kilometers, whatnot. So if there's different like levels, it inclines more people to get involved and actually participate
Right.
in these things instead of closing the door. This essentially opens the door and lets as many people come in together as possible. You can either do it as a team or
So
not.
how do you raise money?
I'm part of the
Look
team.
for pledges. Are you looking for pledges yourself?
So yeah, so what we're doing is we reached out to all of our big organizations as per usual. A bunch of us are also in Starszy Plastунski Kurenie. For those that are in Plast will know it's essentially a fraternity. And so we've been reaching out to our fraternities. We've been reaching out to parents, any single person, like a bunch of our parents. There's a Lebed that's doing it with us, and he's a dentist, so his dad has a big, extensive list of emails. So he got sent that. And it's just the best way to do it is word of mouth and like asking people, telling people, asking parents, but their friends know. And it's getting the word out as much as you possibly can. Is that it'll get around whether you like it or not, but the faster you want to like push it, the faster it'll get around.
So in
And
terms
it also
of,
helps if you put a timeline on it, because if you just give like a 3-month period to raise money, it's kind of like, it's like that slide that we like previously saw. There'll be like a good part and then a slump, maybe a little bit more, and then it goes normal. But we're kind of catching just the big part.
great. So, yeah, so this is one of these kind of new online events that uses technology to sort of track people's fitness, to connects to sort of people collecting pledges. And Dmytro, a final question: have you found it to be successful? Are people responding to this innovative kind of fundraising?
Yeah, so for us, it's worked decently well. We've also like pinpointed certain people in certain like, I don't know, areas we want to like push the most. So like for me, like I'm a Vokulak. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but like I pushed on my Kurin and we got a lot of responses, not just from Canada, but the United States, Germany. And when we're doing these fundraising things, we have to like also remember, don't keep it within our country. There's so many Ukrainians all over the world, and there's so many people over the world that like you can push this. It's a lot harder to get it on that big of a, I guess, spectrum, but
Great. Okay. Yeah, no, thanks, Dmytro. Thank you for joining us. You're welcome to stay on if you like.
Questions, anything, honestly? Like,
yeah, we're gonna have contact info at the end of the presentation and hear from our other folks shortly. Thank you for joining us.
Sorry, go ahead. You guys are
going through the
breaking up.
technology issues.
I'm going on data.
And we're going to move ahead. Asu, if you want to go back to the slideshow, and we're going to
before I go to the slideshow, I just want to say that what he was talking about, it's called peer-to-peer fundraising, where you get your friends, you encourage your friends you ask your friends to fundraise and to support you, to pay pledges. He also mentioned go internationally. This is only going to work when you collect money for outside of Canada, when you are doing stuff in Regina or Victoria in your province. You're not going to ask anybody from outside of Canada. So keep in mind what your organization is doing and for which cause and for what obviously country. So yeah, so let's continue with my interrupted slides. So we were talking about phases during crisis, and I mentioned that when you communicate with people, ask for money, you are much better off. So again, the black solid line shows you the stages and how your donations are behaving. The dotted line that I didn't mention is when you don't communicate or hardly communicate with your donors, when you don't ask for money, you are just going drastically, your donations are going drastically down. They might in phase 2 go a little bit up, but at the end, in the new norms, you don't know if you're gonna survive or not. So remember, communication is the key, and I will mention communication, the word communication, throughout my slides a lot of times. So what have we learned so far? So again, see, I told you I'm going to mention communication. So communication is the key. It was always important, but during the crisis is the key. We also learned to adapt and to carry on and to pivot a little bit to carry our work. We have learned that as a society, that technology and internet access is essential to our everyday life. And a lot of people complain that COVID actually, created this visual world and this brought this technology. And I don't agree. We were heading towards the technology. COVID or this type of crisis just speed up the process of technology and learning new technology. We also learned that video messages are powerful. We knew this before, but now they are making more and more sense, and they are very, very powerful. They speak to your donor. And we also learned during this crisis that we should all go virtual and should not be afraid of going virtual. We also learned during this crisis and crisis before that we should be flexible, visible, and always stay positive. We should not avoid the donors. We should communicate via multiple channels. So Facebook, Twitter, emails, letters, phone calls. We should also focus on current donors. Why current donors? Because they are our immediate supporter. They are supporting us throughout the crisis. We should ramp up communication. Your nonprofit can be a source of positivity and hope. You should keep the focus on your mission and not on the crisis. And some of the nonprofits were going a little bit overboard. They try to be teachers. They try to teach their donors what to do during crisis. You know, wear a mask, do this, keep your distance. And that's not your job. You are not the teacher. You should stick to your mission. The donor is not stupid. If the donor wants to know anything, he will go and find out what he wants from the correct sources. You should, as an organization, you should definitely let your donor know where to find those resources. That's very good, that's very positive, but never be a teacher and don't tell the donor what to do or what not to do, or, you know, people are dying, because the donor knows this. He doesn't need to be reminded by you. You also should review and update your messaging in current campaigns. So let's say you developed your campaign 6 months ago before the crisis started. Go over your campaign, be flexible. If the wording has to be changed, change it. And always check your benchmark. Make sure that you are actually getting money to your organization from your campaigns. If you don't, change something, adapt, be flexible. So steps to weather the crisis. Keep calm and carry on. Launch your campaigns, proceed as planned. Again, communicate, focus on the donor, be accessible and transparent. Donors want more access to the organizations they support. This is very important. Show strong leadership and make your board involved. They should be your weapon. Board should enhance your organization's public standing. Board should continue to be ambassadors for your organization, and they should advocate and fundraise. If somebody on the board doesn't like asking for money, and that's fine, maybe you can bring some new names to the organization, and their organization can ask for money for you. Also, it is important not to make any assumptions. Ask for what you need, show your need, and provide options. And by providing options, I mean, you know, if you ask for money, give the option, well, if you can't give us $100, maybe you can give monthly donation. Follow basic fundraising practices. And I will talk about those practices a little bit more in my next slide. Look for grants, including community grants. There are a lot of community grants available. You might qualify, your organization might qualify for those grants. Also, some larger foundations are providing more flexibility in their funding and reporting requirements. So keep this in mind. Deploy technology to help you. Interesting, internet usage has gone up by 71% since the pandemic started. So don't think that, oh, I have older donors, they don't know how to use internet. That might not be true. Older donors were taught by their grandchildren how to use internet so they could communicate during the pandemic. So don't make assumption again. Also look what worked for you before and be creative with that. So I'll give you an example. So if making vareniki worked for you before COVID, use the same technique to raise money, but make it creative, make it funny. Maybe make a video and competition between 3 or 4 people who make vareniki, and you know, who makes the more vareniki in 3 minutes. And underneath put a nice donate button. People likes during, you know, crisis, people like being fun and enjoying themselves. So let them have some fun and be creative with that. And again, think virtually. And you have to think virtually because virtually is here to stay. And if you are afraid to think virtually, don't be, because it has positive, thinking virtually has some positives. For example, virtual events and campaigns broaden guest lists and increased attendance because anyone can participate regardless of their location. So that's a big, big plus. A virtual campaign occurs entirely online, but can still share the elements of an in-person event, including interaction, connection, and fun. We have 4 types of visual events. So we can have the structured one, usually done by Zoom or GoToMeetings. And actually, this webinar is a structured one. So webinars, lectures, conferences are the structured virtual events. You can have casual events, which is the, you can use YouTube, Google Hangouts, and example of those can be telephone. You can have social events, and for those you use social media such as Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and you can use those for bike-a-thon, go live trivia. And the last one, you can have charity streaming. And for those, you can use Tiffy, which is a paid fundraising platform. If you don't have any other platform and you want to fundraise, it's a good platform. It helps you to raise money. It has whatever you need when you fundraise money. Or you can use the Mozilla Hub, which is a virtual room for your charity streaming. Virtual fundraising events or campaigns, when you are planning them, remember to have a great plan and follow the plan and check from time to time how much money you raised, how you are doing, if anything has to change. If you don't make enough money, you're not happy with your goal, add something to your campaign, change something. Always tell your donor what the money or the ask is for. So be transparent. And when you do those virtual events, make noise. Use your social media and make the noise on social media. For example, say 2 weeks left to our event, 1 day left to our event. If you need, you can put a thermometer when you want to show if you're reaching your goal. And always integrate campaigns. What I mean by that is your direct mail, your email blast, your social media, and website should all be in sync and tell the same story when you are carrying on with your campaign.
Excellent. Дякую, Asю. So we're going to take a break just
Yeah.
now for a minute, give you a chance to get a glass of water. And I'm going to turn to our two guests who are with us. So Terry Zwarych from Regina and Victoria Grando from Victoria, BC. I'm going to start with Terry first. And you can just unmute yourself on your end there, Terry. I know that I was talking with you a couple of months ago, about a very successful model that UCC Regina had done, which was a lottery. A lottery is not something that many of us are familiar with. Again, every province, I believe, has kind of different rules on it. But can you tell us sort of what UCC Regina did in terms of organizing a lottery and how it worked?
Okay, thank you. What we saw was a lot of the organizations, like the women's organization, the men's organizations, or the dance groups, people have their own little lotteries or their own little raffles. So UCC Regina, Clifford Kohutch, who's our first vice president, this was his brainchild, and it actually it's a wonderful brainchild on this one. So what we asked is, I'm just going to take like some of the organizations had small little raffles where they were selling tickets for $1 or $2. What we said was donate prizes as a big lottery. So what we ended up doing is UCC Regina, we got pierogies for a year from some of the ladies organizations. We got dance classes for a year from some of the Ukrainian dance groups. We got a VIP Michalchyshyn experience from one of the dance groups. We got art donated. What else did we do? We got a golf tournament kind of donated. And then what UCC Regina did was we talked with one of our travel agencies, and they gave us, we paid $2,000, but they gave us a $4,000 travel voucher.
Wow.
And so what we ended up having is the combined strength of all of the organizations together. Instead of having a $500 grand prize, there was $10,000 worth of prizes. And so what it was is that each ticket, UCC Regina organized, we printed up the tickets, we organized all of, went through all of the SLGA, or the Saskatchewan Gaming Association. We registered the raffle and everything else. So we sold tickets for $5 each. All of the organizations, whether they participated in a donation, all of our member organizations had a chance of selling the tickets. And if you sold a ticket, your organization got $2.50 for every ticket. UCC Regina got $2.50. So what ended up happening is, I thought the $4,000 I thought the $4,000 trip was going to be the big draw. We're our own worst enemy, and Cliff also says that, is we're our worst enemy. It's not the Ukrainian people, it's everybody else that was going, pierogies for a year for $5, I'm in. And so that was all of the pierogies. There were sausages. Ukrainian Co-op donated $500 worth of meat and everything else. That was the big drawing. Ukrainian dance lessons for a year, Michalchyshyn VIP tour, a VIP experience. All of that led this, made it a much bigger raffle. Now, during the COVID, we had to cancel this because it was a big trip and nobody's going on trips at all. So we did cancel it for this year, but we're looking at ways of redoing this coming on up. What we ended up doing is we ended up starting the Regina Ukrainian Community Fund with the money of, and in different provinces it could be a bit different, but once you register the raffle, then you have to say where the money is going out to. So now all of the organizations that belong to UCC and UNF donated a pierogi supper for a year. They have pierogi suppers every year, every month. But what our organizations could now do is apply for this grant, and it's really easy to apply. We made it really simple. It's just more of a paper trail. So out of this funds that we have made, that we've done with this Regina Ukrainian Community Fund, I mean, we've sponsored, or we've given money for Ukrainian costumes. We've given money for Siate Nikolai costume. We've given money for people for donations. We've given money for books, Ukrainian school, Sadach, all of that. So now the organization themselves, they make money selling the raffle tickets. They're donating pierogies, which, if you donate 10 dozen a month, what does that cost really? About $200. We put it down that it's worth $500 or $600, and they're now selling the tickets. They're getting $250 per ticket, and now they can apply for grants up to $300. And it's given us a chance for organizations, and especially the dance groups, some of the organizations that have buildings that have no money coming on in. We've been able to give them some COVID relief throughout all of this. So it's turned out really well. In your presentation, you're talking about being flexible, and that's what we're looking at, is being flexible. We want to continue on with this spring raffle. We call it our spring raffle. We just need to be flexible. We might be going virtual, but there are some limitations on where we can sell and how we can do this online and everything else. So we do have some limitations, but it's turned out really well, and it's brought the community together, because now these organizations aren't having a little raffle. They're part of a $10,000 raffle. And
so it's really working together. And I think you said you're hitting a bigger, broader Canadian audience, and you're maximizing your effort, really.
And this is what I was talking about. See what worked for you before, and obviously this worked for you before, and have some fun in it. And you also mentioned that you were getting lots of donations, and it shows you that during crisis people care. That's what I mentioned, that people want your organization to succeed. So excellent.
That's really exciting, Terry. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And speaking of Varaniki and pierogies, I want to turn to Victoria from Victoria, BC, and she is going to tell us about how they have very creatively adapted their traditional fundraising methods to the COVID environment. So Victoria, go ahead.
Absolutely, just confirming, Terry, nothing can keep people from eating vareniki. Everything depends on vareniki. Well, that's what happened. We have Ukrainian Cultural Center has a building, and we depend on rentals and our monthly Ukrainian suppers. Of course, rentals were all canceled. We needed somehow to get the income coming. And we got overwhelmed with phone calls, people asking if we're having our monthly Ukrainian suppers, which we said, sorry, we can't. But people suggested, again, non-Canadians, mostly non-Canadians, can you get us a takeout? We said, okay, we'll have to think about it. So rolled up our sleeves, and our bubble family, my family, my mom's friend, and a couple of our board of directors, our president, vice president, his wife, everybody went into the kitchen and got rolling cabbage rolls, pinching pierogies. Our first takeout, we only had 2 weeks. But like just Janine said, overwhelming response for people doing it. What we have the system is we ask them to pre-order ahead of time, because it's so popular, it's unbelievable. We can only make so many takeouts, that's it. People don't want change, nothing like that. We also have at the Cultural Center a little boutique, eggs and things, that's what we call. We have been selling like crazy all of the pisanka supplies. Nothing can keep, again, people not making pisanki. People were so bored right at the beginning of COVID pandemic. We had people coming and getting supplies and making pisanki. And then before Velikden, you know, Easter, people wanted their babkas and paskas. So we had to roll up our sleeves and bake some paskas. So I baked 80 paskas. Anyways, because we had everything. We had supplies. We were planning to have our annual Easter Traditions open house. Nothing happened. So anyway, media was awesome response from media. So we did the media campaign for our June takeout, which we usually don't have any Ukrainian suppers in June, but people said, come on, we need more vareniki. So we had radio stations, local radio stations responded, Czech TV News, that's CTV, Island. They came, they did live report, live weather, live community news, right from the cultural center stakeout. The phone rang like crazy. The first day, right after my interview with the radio station, I came into the office, 43 messages on answering machine, phone is ringing, answering machine is flashing full. I can't answer phones. I check emails and I counted. We received on that morning, first email, 4:30 a.m. And I've counted, we got 150 emails, people ordering vareniki. So that was very successful.
Be careful of your own success, I guess.
I know. I know. Well, we just rolled some cabbage rolls today anyway, because we're all sold out of frozen. So in between of takeouts, there is frozen foods are available, kobasa, everything. So yes, the traditional fundraising for us is food. People want to eat food. Lots of comments. Again, we're so sick of whatever takeouts that are available, Chinese, Mexican, whatever you have there, and we're so happy. So yes, so people are happy. You have to look out for demand, what people want, what public want, and
Exactly, yeah.
like Asya, you said, people don't mind, like keep change, whatever, we don't need. Let us know if you need any help, you know, with money or anything like that. People are open-minded, absolutely open-minded. It is, yeah, it is actually a good idea with our dance group. We just had a conversation yesterday with our artistic director from Veselka Dancers, and they are uncertain what they can do for fundraising. So thank you for all of your points, Asya. I'll keep in mind.
Well,
And
I'm glad, because everything which you said, I was saying. So communication, listen to your donors, supporters, be creative, adapt. Wonderful job. And I'm very happy because you also got involved, your volunteers, obviously.
Yep.
They were, you know, lipili vareniki, so wonderful. I'm very happy that and that you are successful. You're not hiding,
no,
and you are, you know, facing the crisis head on. Wonderful. Both of you. Great job.
Excellent examples. Thank you, Victoria and Terry. We've had some people write in questions. So again, if you do have a question, you can type into the bottom of your screen under the Q&A. So the main answer I can give you is that we will make this recording available on our YouTube channels later tonight, and we will share Janine's slides on our website, and we'll send a note to everybody who's registered. We'll put them up as PowerPoints for people to review. But if you do have another question, Asya has a bit more of a presentation to do, but I wanted to just thank Terry and Victoria right now. I think those are inspiring examples. They're smart examples of how to use the tools you have in front of you, you know, how to read the community, and really sort of utilize your team. And I think that's really important. I know the kind of things you're doing could be, adapted and into other situations across Canada. So we're
and the most important thing, if it works for you, continue doing this. Don't change anything, because the donor is telling you, or the supporter is telling you what they want. And they are obviously happy with you because they are asking for more and more. So keep doing what you're doing. Yeah,
so
wonderful.
we're gonna just have Asya wrap up a couple more points on the slides, and then we're going to, again, if you have any questions for Terry, Victoria, myself, or Asya, you can type them in now into Q&A. And otherwise, Asya, do you want to return to your slideshow and on your screen again, and we'll just wrap up with that.
Yes, I think, yes. So Terry and Victoria gave us wonderful examples of not so much virtual events, but what they have been doing during COVID. But going back to virtual events, you can do
Sorry, your
virtual...
slides aren't up, Janine. Or do you want to share your screen?
Oh, I thought, okay, sorry. Okay, let me just share the screen again. Okay. All right. So, okay. So the virtual events can be, you can do virtual galas. Would I recommend virtual galas? Not really, because it's a lot of work to do. But there are some ideas that you can still do it. If you want a very nice virtual gala, there are virtual events planner companies. They can do everything for you. You don't have to do anything. And they are cheaper than regular galas because you don't pay for the, candles on the table, for flowers, for music, for lights. So they are much cheaper than regular gala. But you can do small galas. For example, now that the restrictions are being slowly lifted, you can have probably, I think, I don't know in every province, but I think at least 5 people can come to your place. You can, or your nonprofit can ask donors, can you host a little evening for your family or your friends? Can you sell tickets to them? And we as an organization, we will recruit volunteer that he would wear a black tie and a mask, of course, and we will deliver a meal to a local ticket holders. Caution, always check with Ministry of Health and follow the health guidelines. When I was studying fundraising, one of my professors, he was also fundraising for his synagogue, and he told us that the members of the synagogues were older and they never wanted to go to any galas. So what they did actually, the fundraiser said, okay, we're gonna supply you with candles, a nice wine, baguette, cheese, do little galas with your wife or your children at your home. And instead of paying for real gala, could you donate to us? And he said that 99% of his donors did that. So you can have, again, be creative with you can be very creative with your galas. You can also, for virtual events, you can do day of giving. So let's say select a date that has a meaning to your organization, make a big, promotion on your social media and say, we have only 24 hours to raise $7,000. And I'm sure that if you're not going to raise 7,000, you will raise something, because people, if you ask them, they want to give. They want to still support you. You can also have the peer-to-peer challenges. And Danilo was talking about peer-to-peer. I'm talking challenges you can challenge, like board members can also challenge, make a challenge between themselves. Who will raise the most money within a week? So again, a board involvement or staff involvement. More ideas, you can do the charity runs, charity steps. You can count your steps. You can host individual or team sign-ups. You can fundraise per mile, per lap, per step, per number of consecutive days of run. With those, always show your progress. Post it on your social media, post your pictures, post your stories. And I really love the story that Andriy Koputichny shared with his friends on social media when he said, I got running shoes from a friend of mine. There are 2 sizes too small, but I am still biking for the cause I believe in. You know, when you post such a personal stories, people will give you money. Another idea for the that you can use is use celebration days. So raise money on Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day. You know, challenge people to donate in memory of a father, of their grandfather. You can, again, be creative. You can also do silent auctions. I'm sure that a lot of our organizations have paintings, books. You can use those for auctions. You can do contests, virtual contests, trivia nights, talent competition, scavenger hunts for kids. You can do raffles that Terry mentioned. And now you also can do drive-through movies. A lot of shopping malls are renting their parking lots just for movie nights. You can do those, and they are very, very safe. You sit in the car, you know, you buy the ticket and you enjoy your movies. You can also do the voting competition. So you know, whatever you wish, you can do. I just want to show you this slide. It's virtual events and their success. And the slide tells you that 56% of organizations that had virtual events were successful. So don't think that because it's virtual, because it's something new, you will not be successful. That's a myth. 56%, that's a very big number, especially when the virtual fundraising just begun. We are not used to it, to this yet. 10% of the organizations who run the virtual events said they were unsuccessful, and 34 said they were somehow successful. So again, don't be afraid of those virtual events. I mentioned in my previous slides that you should follow fundraising practices, and those fundraising practices are not changing because it's crisis. You should always follow them, but especially during crisis. So increase communication. Keep your stakeholders, donors, and volunteers fully informed. They want to know how we are affected by the current situation. Include special briefings, webinars, and updates. Don't forget that stewardship is very important. Speak to your donor. If you think that, well, I don't have internet, or my donors, they don't have internet, I cannot connect with them. Use phone. Use the old technology. Pick up the phone, pick up your pen, a piece of paper, write them a note. So remember, stewardship is very important. Motivate and engage your donor. Donors who feel engaged and connected will continue to support the organization, especially during crisis. Tailor your messages and always follow fundraising rules when writing us letters. And I'm gonna just give you maybe 3 sentences about letters, because people think that writing a fundraising letter is, you know, 1, 2, 3, nothing to it. But when you write a fundraising letter, you have to think you are writing a letter to your friend, because you are building the relation. So never start your letter on behalf of. This is not your nonprofit is only, it's not a business. It's a business when it comes to money, but when it comes to communication with your donor, it's on a basis of friendship. So write, "Dear Peter." I was working for a University of Toronto school, and we had professors as our donors, doctors. We never said in our letter, "Dear Doctor, blah, blah, blah." We said, "Dear James," because they were part of the UTS family. So follow those rules. Another rule that might be interested to you is that the language should be very simple. It should be on the grade 7 level. So don't use huge words, because donors, they don't want to read and analyze and think what this word means. They want a simple sentence that speaks to their hearts. So I'm going to end on the letters, how to write letters. There's a huge, there should be another webinar, how to write letters, but I just wanted to mention those. Also, as a fundraising practices, continuously remind your donors of your mission and the impact your donor is making, not your organization is making, but your donor is making. Leverage technology, and I mentioned this before, incorporate videos. Videos are worth 1,000 words. Never be afraid to ask. If you do not ask, you won't get anything. And always, always say thank you whenever you can. And I say thank you on that note to you. And if you have any questions, I can answer them.
Well, thank you, Asiu. Again, and thank you to all of our guests tonight. I don't see any questions in the Q&A yet. We'll give people a couple of minutes to type something in. Terry and Victoria, anything else that you wanted to add in terms of what you've heard from the presentation today? Anything on your future plans and thoughts on fundraising?
No, not from me. Thank you.
Maybe I can add something, because I'm so proud of both of you that you did so well. Just from the statistics from the Imagine Canada, I just read the statistic that 73% of nonprofit reported big revenue drop. So that's a huge number, and it seems to me that you are, the minority that your revenue did not drop at all. In fact, it went up. So yeah, I just wanted to share this with you too, because so I'm very happy and proud of your work.
We have one question from Lasya Zalik, and so she wants to know, Asiu, I think, or actually it could be any of us, what is the best fundraising event or activity that you've ever seen? It's a big question.
That I ever see?
Yeah, in your career as a fundraiser.
That I ever seen. You know what? I have to say the Invictus, I love the Invictus fundraising. It took UCC a lot of work to do the Invictus Gala. But recently, during the COVID, I went to exhibit for Van Gogh exhibit, and I was very impressed. They did their exhibit, so they followed the health department rules. They draw circles on the floor. So if you came with your family, you stayed in the circle, but you still got the feeling and enjoyment of being outside and enjoying the exhibit. So I really like that.
Great.
during the
Terry, do you have
conference.
a favorite fundraiser that you've been to?
That I've
Favorite?
been to, it was for Canadian Cancer, and it was the Academy Awards. When you walked in, you're giving a ballot. You pick the winners, and if that happened to be the winner, your name was put into a big. It was a big video wheel, and the people that predicted the director and best actor and best actresses and everything else, if you picked the right one, they picked a prize for you. It was an exceptional night. So yeah, it was a very good fundraiser that way.
That's very cool. Victoria, what about you? Any great fundraising memories or events you've been to?
Dinner in white. It's very popular in Victoria. So they will not tell anyone the location and the day. You just if you're participating. So again, the donors, they give you money, and then you dress in white, and then let's see, text message, or you receive the location and the time and the day when you show up, and all of the tables are white, everything is white, you show up in white and you have a dinner and they fundraise money.
Excellent. One of my favorites here in Ottawa has been the Borscht Festival that the local church runs. So there's about I actually entered last year even, 40 people make borscht, and they're sort of set up at the church hall, and people, it's a fundraiser for orphanages in Ukraine. People buy tickets and then they can sample from different kinds of borscht. So it was a very interesting, kind of cost effective, but pretty basic kind of thing. We do have one more question here that's popped up. We're just coming to 5 minutes after 9, so we'll wrap up. The question was to Victoria about media coverage. You mentioned that you talked to media, radio, TV. Did you reach out to them? I think the question is sort of how much, I think the question is really sort of looking at how much should we be proactively reaching out to the mainstream Canadian media, major media, or did they kind of find you?
We have a list of media that we usually contact if we organize our events and we want to promote them.
Okay.
So what we did, and one of our members did a great job. Monica Rosa sat on her computer and wrote to everyone that we had on our list. She did a little write-up, sort of like a press release with the problems that we faced during the pandemic. And she followed up, so she wrote emails, phoned, just like Asa said, and followed up to make sure if it worked. If it's like going fishing, so you just you try to reach out, and then response was overwhelming. Maybe it was a good timing also, because what we had from CTV News and Czech News, that they were just sick of all of the negative news in June, and they wanted something bright and shiny, and then plus they had free vareniki, so that's good. So yeah, so just it is hard. You send emails, sometimes you don't get responses right away, but like Asa said, don't be shy, follow up, just bother them. That's all it is.
Yeah, and it's really worth the value is really to get them to advertise to a broader audience. It's really worth pursuing. And the other thing I would say, I mean, we were on, Janine and I were on a couple of online conferences this week about fundraising. I think Facebook advertising, it's not that expensive to do little ads on Facebook, to put $10, $20, $50, $100 on a poster that if you have a poster already, if you sort of do a Facebook ad, you can promote it in a specific postal code or to specific kind of physical geographical community, and you'll have a lot of people see it who may not otherwise see it. And one other idea that my brother had, actually I forgot, my brother did a series of online Spiov kind of Volnik concerts. He would just sit on YouTube and sing, but he did that for free, but he asked people who tuned in to watch him. He picked a Main Street Project, which is a homeless shelter in Winnipeg, right? So he as the performer sort of, asked people to make a donation, in his name, to sort of to thank and honor, him for doing kind of this free performance. So, and that was quite successful. I think he raised over $1,000 over a couple of weeks from a series of performances that was unexpected. So again, I think this all goes to the fact that we as Canadians, as Ukrainian Canadians, are generous. We're more than willing to sort of help each other out at this time, especially. And but it's all about making sure people know, where the need is and how they can help. And sort of, I think I heard the phrase yesterday, throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks, having a board meeting and going through some creative ideas and, what your organization can handle or not handle, and what's safe and not safe going to given where your specific community is. So I don't see any
when
other.
you have good relationship with your donors, that helps tremendously.
Yeah. So I don't see any other questions. So I think we're going to wrap it up tonight. Again, thank you to Terry, Victoria for sticking with us, to Dmytro for being with us earlier, and Asya again for the great presentation. We will have this up on our website in the next couple of days, and wish everybody much success in their fundraising in the fall and the year ahead. It will be a strange new world for all of us, but I know that with the talented people we have at our boards and organizations, we're going to see some really interesting things, and frankly, some things that might stick around, after the pandemic as well, that there might be some really good permanent kind of new ideas that come up through this process. So, dobranic, дякую, и we will keep you posted on the next series of webinars in September. Bye-bye.
Right.
Dobranic.
Dobranic.